The next thing we're going to talk about is one of my favorite features called multiple background images or multiple backgrounds. This is a way for you to take several images and put them in the background of an object and layer them on top of each other. So this is something I've always wanted to be able to do. And what we used to do is we used to take, let's say, divs and we'd nest them inside of each other to do things like rounded corners and things like that. But now we can go in and kind of layer them on each other inside the background, which is really great. I'm going to take my border image and hide it because I think it's hideous. And I just wanted to use it as a test case to show you. So I'm going to kind of paste this down here and we will hide it. And you can see the border up there showing as well. So I'm going to hide this as well. Hopefully we don't need it. We'll see. And I'm going to put a little commenting around it. There we go. Get it back to something like this. And we're going to put an image in there. Of course, we can bring this stuff back if we want later on. I'm going to put a comment here which says multiple backgrounds. And you can see that up there we had a background image already going on. You can see right here, background color only. We can overwrite that if we want, but we're going to use images which are going to lay on top of that. So I'll show you something we need to do for IE later. I'm going to get my cursor in here, and the typical syntax for this is to either use shortcut or shorthand rather, or to write it out longhand. A lot of times you'll find that if we're going to use the same exact syntax as we would typically. So if we want to put a background image out here, we can just type in background image like we normally would. And then what we'll do is we'll put in the first URL. And if we want to put more images layered in here, we're going to put a comma and just put another URL. We can put, a whole bunch in here if we want to. And then, close it or finish it out using the semicolon. Then what we do is we do everything we need to do typically is we can put in the repeat, and we're going to say something like no repeat. And I obviously haven't put images in there yet, and we will. I could put repeat X, whatever we want to do here. But the thing is, if we're going to put 3 images, we want to have 3 different background repeats, and I misspelled it. Whoops, right there, background repeat. And if you don't put in, let's say, a third, it's going to repeat the initial one. It's really weird. It's going to go no repeat, repeat X, no repeat. If we want to put in just no repeat, that means apply no repeat to all 3 of those images. So that's a shorthand method right there. The third thing we need to put out here, third property we need to put is background position. This is the same thing as we do typically, okay? So, wow, I misspelled it again. So I put an F instead of nothing. All right, background position. Now we could say, something like left top, but we're just going to put it like we normally would. So left top, you could put like 00. We could put 30%, 100%, and then semicolon. So we can put a lot of different positions. It's the same as if we were to write just a straight up image. Now, to put this in shorthand, the way we could write it is this. I'm going to hit a return. I'm going to get rid of this because I'm going to show you how we write the shorthand. You're not going to write it all out most of the time. So we're going to just type in the word background. And then we're going to go in and do like we typically would. Put our URL. We'll put no repeat. And then we'll put left top, comma, URL. Same thing. Just keep going. And you'll kind of see that it's pretty simple. And we can put a space here if we want to make it a little bit easier to read. And then we'll put no repeat. And then we'll put 00, comma, URL. Same thing. Keep going. No repeat. Repeat. And then we'll put 30%, 100%, and then semicolon. So that is the super shorthand method of writing these out. Okay, and of course, in the URL parentheses right here, we're going to put an actual path to an image. Okay, and that's what we're about to do. Now, before we jump in here, I want to show you, this is the typical syntax, so the standard syntax that we would use, the standard property. Okay, I want to show you where it's supported. So let's go out to caniuse.com. And if you look right here, you'll see, where are we at here? Multiple backgrounds, not background image options. We're looking for multiple backgrounds. There we go. Click on that. You're going to see that it is supported in pretty much everything except IE8 and IE7. Now there is a fallback we can use using a filter for IE8 and 7 and 6 for that matter, but to be honest, it kind of stinks. It just, there's no, you can't move it around. It just sticks it in the upper left corner. So we almost need to have something like conditional tags or conditional comments to say, hey, let's stick another div out there and put two divs inside of each other like we used to do. There's also jQuery and JavaScript you can use, but that's getting a little further along. So we don't also have to use any vendor prefixes. It's kind of crazy. There are none. So we just basically stick that in there, the background image. All right, so if I go back here, what we're going to do is we're going to put two images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the super shorthand here. So I'm going to get rid of this one. And then we're going to use either or, okay? So I'm going to use the super shorthand, and we're only going to use two images. So I'm going to get rid of one of these. All right, so I've got two images in here now. Now the two images I'm going to use, if you take a look, are a kind of a folded corner and a logo that we're going to stick into each one of these boxes, okay? Now the logo we could just put in there, inside the actual div or container, whatever this happens to be. But I want it to be part of the background. So I know that the image paths are in the images folder, and this one's called logo small.ping. And then this one, I'm forgetting what it's called, page curl small.jpg. So it's in the same folder. And we're going to make sure we put, obviously, our images in our folder. .jpg, I believe it's JPG, is it? Yes, should be. All right. Cool. Now, if you look, you're going to see them out there. Okay. So it's actually, they're kind of layered on top of each other. And the way it works is the first one you list here in the shorthand or the first one you list in the longer hand is going to be on top. As you list them, they start to stack beneath it. The last one you list is on the bottom of the stack. This is actually, it's layering them. Okay. So what we're going to do is we've got this image out here. I'm going to say don't repeat it. And I want to go right top, let's say. That sticks it up in the right top. And you're going to see right here, we're going to put this one, no repeat, bottom center. Whoops. Something like that. And that's actually the page curl. What am I doing? Page curl needs to go on top. Brian, get it right, will you? I'll do this. It doesn't really matter in this case because they're not going to overlap, okay? So I'll just keep it like this. I'll go top, right, something like that. And there we go, okay? If this page curl image was filling up the whole thing essentially, we would want that one to be on the bottom. So that would go next. It would go here, okay? Like I said, layering. Now what we can do is we can also put something like a background color. So I can put background color and put like white or something like that. And there we go. Looks a little bit better. Cool, I can see it now. And we can go test it out in our browsers and make sure that it works properly. If you want to learn a little bit more, if you want to kind of dive in here, you can always go over to the W3C, and there's 50 million websites you can learn this from. But the W3.org, if you look here, you're going to see CSS3 background. Just do a search for CSS3 background W3C, and you'll find this. And they have the syntax in here that explains kind of how it works. It's pretty much what I just told you. So now this actually plays into working with things like background origin and different things like that, background clip. And we'll talk about those in a little while here, actually next. But let me go back over here. If you want to try and get IE to play, I'm not telling you this is going to work well or properly, but you can try it, okay? And you guys can see that the text is running this over this. It's actually really annoying me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little padding there. And I'll go 1M, 1M, and I'll go like 4M. Whoops. 4M, 1M. Something like that, just to see if that gives me enough room. Not quite. So do 6M. Yep, almost. Come on, Brian, you can do it. There we go, a little better. Okay. If you want to try and get IE to work, what we're going to do is we're going to put our standard syntax here, the background property. Then we're going to put our IE filters, and then we'll put something like a background color to get it to go behind if we want. So the filter for IE, it's a little weird. It's going to be called the alpha image loader. And you know what? I'm not going to make you type this out. What I would do, make it simple on yourself. Go to a browser, search for alpha image loader. Whoops, I just totally destroyed that, didn't I? Alpha image loader. And it should come up with this page right here. It's the Microsoft library. So you should see AABR acronym. That's going to give you the syntax essentially. So what we need to do is we need to copy this stuff, alpha image loader, right there. Copy that. Come back, paste that in there, and then we're going to give it some properties, okay? Now, if you look down here, you're going to see that we have sizing method and source. So the source is what we need to put in there. So we'll put in src equals quote, and you can put a single quote if you want. Images, same thing. Now, here's the thing, you guys. If we want this to work, if we want this IE filter to work, what it's going to do is it's going to put it out there for us, and it's going to stick it in the upper left corner, and that we don't really have a choice. But the thing is, this alpha image loader is only going to allow us to put one more image out there. So essentially with this, from what I've seen, we can only put 2 images in the background. But that means that we also need to put a background image right here. This is kind of weird. So we're going to have to do something like this. We're going to put the one that's going to go on top right here. So let's say this one's going to go on top. Okay. I know it's going to be really bizarre, but we would actually put in a background property here for just one image. Then we're going to put the background property for both images we want. And for almost every browser on the planet, it's going to ignore this one and then use this one instead. So it's going to just say, okay, just use the 2. IE ignores this one because it doesn't understand it. So it's going to put this one out there first and then put the alpha image loader one out there. Okay. I know it's bizarre, but anyway. So we got logo small, and then we're going to put page curl underscore small dot ping. And I need to put a / in there. There we go. And then the next thing we can do is we can tell it a sizing method. So sizing method, you can see right there. It's enabled by default, so we don't need that. Sizing method equals, and we can do something like cover. I think there's a couple. You can always click on these. Excuse me. You can see crop or scale. So crop just puts it in there and clips the image. It basically just cuts it off. Scale stretches it. So you got to be careful of that one, but I'll go to crop. We'll just try crop. There we go. And what that's going to do essentially is it's going to take that image right there and stick it in the upper left corner, and there isn't any positioning you can do. So if you wanted to use this filter to put a second image in there for IE, this is for IE. And this is actually for IE 6 and 7. So I'll put in IE 6 and 7. You're going to probably want to make an image that is the full size of the object and then position the page curl or whatever you want in the image. Okay, I know it sounds, like I said, bizarre, but if we want IE8 to play here, what we can do is we can copy and paste that filter and then just put the MS on front like this and then put quotes around everything here, essentially. So it looks something like this. Okay, so that's going to be IE8. I know. Don't get me started on this. A lot of people will just ditch this because it is such a pain in the butt. So not even doing this, the filters. But if you want to go for it, you can try it. There is also, we're going to look at what's called Pi later on in this course to show you how to do multiple background images and make sure it works in IE 6 through 8. So you might not even want to try this filter. But it's your call. So there it is. There's our background image looking awesome. 2 images rather, and we've got it ready to go. Of course, that border right there is destroying me, but that's fine. I could take it off. So there you have multiple backgrounds. A lot of great things you can do with this. You'll figure it out, I'm sure, with your designs. The next thing we're going to talk about is working with background clip and background origin.